All right. Good day. Hope everybody out there is having a good one. Now we're gonna usually we talk about music around here. If you're looking for new music, stuff that you've never heard of from all around the world, different genres and all that. Definitely take a look around. We get a lot of playlists that reflect a lot of the awesome music that we've been finding by following people's suggestions rather than algorithms. It's led us to find way more music than we ever would have found any other way. Now, um, aside from being a avid music fan, I'm also an avid aliens fan. We recently did a video talking about this legacy cut, and we got a chance to get it, and which um yeah it went. It's something that it's kind of strange to me that something that was, it seemed very popular when it was trying to be downloaded, but I it's odd that I don't see other channels really talking about this. Very few, and there's a lot of good alien channels out there that I watch that cover books and stuff and connecting tissue that I never would have gotten otherwise. So I take advantage of those aliens channels. They do a great job, but it makes me wonder why they're not talking about this. It being that nothing has changed, nothing was, and I only have like one tiny of the tiniest gripes about how they handled one edit. Um, I think another edit with the uh, Ripley dealing with the assault issue. I think the way they cut that together was a lot better because it almost, if you haven't seen it, it almost seems like it's the alien, music wise and everything. At least I think that's what they were trying to, because that's what it felt like. It was like, whoa, is the alien about to attack this guy? And no, it ends up being um, uh, Mr. Charles S. Dutton with a hunk of meat at the end of a pole. And then the next shot is the guy all bandaged up. You always laugh when you see it, and it's like, wow, kind of feel like, wow, what kind of jerks for laughing at that? But it's funny as hell. But anyway, and I had mentioned that it's being presented in 4K. Now, they didn't get a hold of the reels and rescan it to make it official. It's been upscaled to 4K, but with all that, they also did a lot of work on the special effects, some cleaning up, a lot of things that otherwise I can't believe that it's taken fans to do this after decades. And they did a just spectacular job. I think they knocked it right out of the park. I think for a lot of people, this might be like their definitive or go-to edition when they, watch Aliens. Because it allows some plot lines that kind of just get left in the dust. Some people that end up disappearing in the theatrical version, and it's like you're not supposed to pay attention to who's doing what and where. It's just, they're all people running from this thing and through these tunnels. And however good, a lot of people might like the theatrical. Most Alien fans, I believe, do prefer the assembly cut. Now, that being said, the one cut that I would have done different, and here's how I would have handled it, but I can't say nothing because I don't have the means, the budget, or nor the talent, the skills. And again, shout out to the people that put the work into this. I don't want to name names because the people that are in the know. And if you know how to get it, well, you've either watched this video or you have checked out the trailer that's playing here in the background. Just we'll have you all linked up, like we do with everything. The one thing that I would have done different, I like the fact that it's the only movie that I don't, like, it's like if you harm a dog in your movie, I'm probably not gonna watch your movie again, even if I like it, because I just like, so being an animal lover and stuff, it's just my thing. But in this case, I thought that it made more sense in one way for it to come out of a dog, but in another way it didn't because of its size. It comes out and it's automatically this size, which more fits it coming out of an ox because of an ox being such a big animal that it would already come out, kind of pretty big anyway. So it would be a pretty big baby, baby alien. And but there was always a couple things that bothered me. Like, yeah, they found the face hugger, but it's like nobody noticed this cow was, yeah, I guess everybody was too busy dealing with other things, but it just, that the fact that, there was a few things that bothered me with how that ox part played out. I much preferred the dog because of the way the alien reacts. Now, as far as the size when it's born, I think they should have just, you see the dog having some issues, and then, you see the breakage, and then, you see a little bit of the alien sliming around in the thing, but at that point you can't tell that it's, so I would have left it at that and then left it at the thing scurrying away, and all you see is the leftover shot from the dog. So I would have cut out the reveal of the big baby alien. But again, everything they did on this, you could tell there was a lot of thought and effort and everything put into this, and a lot of storylines were thought, and gone through, and followed through, as much as they could be with what, they could only work with what they had. It wasn't like they were given access to all, these reels, or, they could just formulate their own cut from the original master reels. So again, it's not, I think I want to make that clear, and that's why I said it's being presented in 4K, because it is an upscale, but it's not just that. It's the little things, little tiny touches that, make more sense. The fact that when dudes look, the first dude that gets hurt is looking in the hole, and then something's looking back at him with that red. It's the first time you see it. That made way more sense, and it's way cooler. And, it's just, even knowing this movie inside and out, it was very neat. It was like seeing it for the first time again, in a lot of ways. Even knowing that, it's the end, but some people consider that 1, 2, and 3, it's a trilogy. That's it. And for good reason. And you could look at the other Alien movies as other Alien stories. And, they don't necessarily all have to connect, in my opinion. But some people do like that connective tissue, so they are at the same time trying to, create this, weird wobbly circle that goes around, and yep, here's how it's all connected, and okay. But we are getting some pretty cool imagery and some pretty cool stuff. They, like I said, they did great with everything they fixed. They just stellar. It just, and we're talking things that just should have been done by now, and it's like, I can't believe that it took this long and fans to fix what the studio should, have done. Like one of the little scenes of the alien running across the corridor. It's a little scene, but when it's right there, that right there. Okay, this scene right here. This always looked dumb. It looked dumb for a while, but they thought they could get away with it because it just flies through the corridor. So it's all motion blur. Well, when you're upscaling things and all that, the motion blur thing is not gonna work. When you're old school in it, watching on VHS and a CRT, you can get away with that. And I get it, but they painstakingly went through these shots, and I mean, doing this could not have been, now look at that. And see its hind legs? Its hind legs resemble a dog. Now, when we talk about size, the initial size is what I have a problem with. I still think it should have been little. I think that, the addition to the dog to begin with, it's like pick one. Because both animals have a hind leg like that. Just different. But the size that it ends up being doesn't bother me because the aliens always end up being bigger than the host they came out of, by at least a foot or so. So, this one, it's kind of backwards. It seems like it's a little smaller, but it acts like a dog. It's how they figured it out. Like I said, I'm not going to ramble on too much about how, but it's the fixing of the shots that I appreciate, because these are things that when you up the resolution, more and more starts to get noticed. And one more thing that I want to add, and true Alien fans will know what I'm talking about. The original sets were built for a script that was way out there and was just never going to happen. Now, David Fincher had to basically work these sets that were built and change them around to look more like they were concrete. They were built to look like wood, so you would see the wood. So there are places where, because of the upscales and stuff, that you notice that they're, some of the corridors are wood, and that they're in this wooden, type, thing was the original thought. And there's channels that will go right into that if you don't know what I'm talking about. But like right here, you can kind of see, but see now, at the same time, anybody that knows anything about concrete, if you're foaming concrete with, like, say, regular plywood or wood, it's like the negative. You're gonna see what that plywood looked like. If it had a knot in it or any kind of indents, it's going to leave that behind on the concrete. So that makes perfect sense that this old place would have parts of it that were formed up with wood, like you do. And, but it's like, you gotta be into the lore. And I think this really, follows the lore. It gives people their full story. It gives, it makes scenes that were supposed to be there work better than they did. And, sometimes it just takes some little tweaking, and that's what they did. And they did it very well. The last thing I will say about the alien, now, with the way the alien was done, this is early CGI, this is the last photochemically film done. There was a lot going against it in this aspect. They had the puppet, they used a dog at one point. It's all sorts of problems. Um, but at the end of the day, with how the alien is made and some of these shots, it fits on the screen way better. It is a part of when they are reacting to it because it's in front of them. It's because it really feels like it's there. Now, of course, there's shots where it's a practical element, so of course it's there. But you know the shots that I'm talking about, and those shots were really fixed up to really make it look like the way it should. And I think it also in a way, really, if you don't are really into the whole story and all the connective tissue, I think it also helps in that aspect. So no matter which way you like your aliens, this they did great with this. I probably this will be the way I will watch this movie. From here on out, I think this is the cut that I prefer. There's some things that they just could not, they would have to literally remake whole shots on their own, and that's going a little bit out of the scope of a fan edit. So, when you make fan films, of course, it's a bit different, but taking material and, you gotta watch, they can only do so much. Like I said, they can only work with what they got. So, and they did great with that. And I mean, there's even, little things like the funeral scenes and little tiny moments and touches that they, perfect. You did great. I think it deserves a video. I don't know why everybody else is ignoring this. Is there some reason? Am I not in the know? I'm not an aliens channel, so I get that. But I don't understand why this is not being recognized, or at least people aren't saying, hey, great job. Even if you don't particularly care for this cut, it looks brilliant. They did a great job. They did. I mean, no matter, like I said, I just think they really, and they deserve a shout out. They did some great work, and they wanted some feedback. So that's my feedback. Is you guys really you all knocked it right out of the park, and thank you for the time and effort you spent on this. I think you gave it what it deserves. I think this is a really touchy subject for David Fincher. Reporters pretty much know this is a no-touch zone. If you want to ever have an interview with David Fincher again, look, I think that he would, be really, at the very least, he would really appreciate the time and effort that was put in to give this movie more of what we think he would have wanted, closer to what he would have wanted. Again, you can't control what studios come in and change and do, and then they only allow you to have so much of, and that's why people prefer the assembly cut, because other things make sense, but then again, other things don't. So having them both together is a very cool version to have. And you guys all did great. Every one of you, even the end shot, the backward swan dive, that was handled way better than it was originally. Things like that. All the look of everything. Great job. I can't say enough how well that alien fit on screen, and really just, before it was like Roger Rabbit levels of, it's like watching it in VHS helped. So now, this is great. It's great to have you all knocked it out of the park. Um, Once again, thank you for the time and effort and for all you've done. And for you other alien channels out there, I don't know why you're not talking about this. Is even people in my comment section wondering why you're not talking about this? Is there some type of embargo I'm not aware of? Is there some, do you just stay away from fan edits? I think this is one that, when it comes to fan edits, I know people have a weird, but this is one that deserves some recognition because they did with this movie what the studio failed to do. So there you have it. I hope everyone out there is having a great day. Like I said, we got tons of news, reviews, reacts, all sorts of musical stuff, all sorts of stuff to talk about here. So take a look around. Let me know what you think, what we should leave a suggestion or a comment or whatever. Like, comment, subscribe, do all them things, and let us know about something we should be checking out. There's also some great fan made movies of Alien that are just great to just have in your repertoire. Just some good stuff that people are putting out there that I think deserves some recognition. It might not be canon, but it's still cool. So, all right. Yeah, great job, and yeah, let me know what you think. What did you think about the movie? And do you got it? Have you gotten it yet? I know some people were having some problems getting it. That's understandable. But with the amount of people that I know that they know, I, and they even mentioned, so um, great job. Thank you very much. This will be my definitive edition, pretty much. And yeah, thank you once again. Everybody out there, have a great day. And hopefully, we'll see you in the next one.